The sports wrap with Mr. Ozil Wiss, Mr. Ronald Lander, and also Mr. Lockhart Sebastian. And they had some guests with them today, this evening. The members of the newly elected Cricket Association executive. I saw a few of them as I was coming up to the studios. I just want to say good evening to you at home and abroad, as we always do every Thursday. This Thursday, March 16th, we just want to welcome each and every one of you listening to us via Q95 FM radio on Facebook, and any other social media platform that you listen to us. I just want to welcome you to our program as we always do. And let's take the opportunity to extend condolences to those of you who have lost loved ones around the country. There's a lot of you who have lost loved ones. I just want to reach out to you. Those of you who have loved ones who are not doing too well, I just want to reach out to you as well from the leadership of our party. Dr. Thompson Fountain, our political leader, Mr. Clement Masley, our deputy political leader, Mr. Lennox Linton, our president, Mrs. Francisca Joseph, our vice president, and every other member of the United Workers' Party executive and members around the country. Just want to reach out to you and extend sympathies to you, and also wish you all the very best. Those of you who are not doing too well, people like Mr. Gifford Paul, just want to say good evening to you. Roberto Maslin, he's in St. Martin now. I don't know, he's back in Dominica. Just want to reach out to him as well. Anybody, Roberto, reach out and touch him for me. Greetings coming from us, I know Mr. Maslin in the banana industry when he was supervisor of the blending boxing plant. So that's many moons ago, but was a very, very, very a positive gentleman, very outspoken. Just want to reach out to him, and anybody knowing him, extend best wishes to him from us here at the United Workers' Party. Mr. Morrison Joyce in Kulibistri, I haven't seen in a long time. I've been my friend. I know you're always listening. Good evening to you, Mr. and Mrs. Erickson and Ruby Joyce as well up in Kulibistri. Delilah in Kulibistri, and in Salisbury. I just want to reach out and touch Mr. Orville Martin in Kayedong the Baba, and also let's reach out and Mr. and Mrs. Wilders Harry. Good evening to you. T. Sakafet. Good evening to you. My sister, Mrs. Janet Vidal. Good evening to you, your husband, Mr. Vidal. Also, my sister, Elika John. And all the others in Salisbury. I may have to call names this evening with too much. I see my good friend from Lapland already messaged me and tell me what's going on tonight. Mr. Darren Newton in Yonkers, New York, up there. How are you doing in the Bronx? Good evening, my brother. It was nice being in Lapland and Botica, Laron, and Delis over the weekend. We had a very nice meeting there. That's we started our series of meeting, and hopefully we'll be in Roseau Central coming this weekend. And that's one. We will organize. I think we'll give an update where we're going next. But it was a very interactive discussion that we had on electoral reform and other issues, and the feedback we are getting very genuine and feedback. And it's important that we continue that type of dialogue with our people at home and abroad on this issue. And today, I was interestingly, before I call my guest, I just want to touch that quickly. Somebody met me and they said, Mr. John, the Prime Minister and others saying that since you all left Parliament, you'll have got nothing doing. What are you doing to survive? And I said, I've always been an active individual, and right now I have, by way of information, I have my own real estate business. So I'm a real estate broker, and I'm proud to say that, registered business. So anytime you're looking to buy, sell, I am the guy. Just contact me, and I will ensure that I can give you the best professional service in terms of selling a property or buying a property. And that's what I'm doing. That's what I've been doing, and keeping myself busy for the past couple, not even just a few months ago, but about a few years ago now, I've been doing that. So more and more getting myself involved and engaged. So life must go on, and you have to continue working hard. So once again, welcome to the Workers' Voice, and this evening, Thursday, March 16, 2023. And we always have issues to discuss on behalf of the party. And we have two gentlemen with me this evening who always batting. They love to bat. I never know. I know Danny is a footballer. I like to score goals, but I never know. I don't know what sports also played. So let me welcome to the studios of K95 the microphone, Mr. Glenroy Soso Coffee from the Roseau Central constituency.
Yes, good night, Spags. Well, I'll answer that one quickly, because even if I did not play professional sports or even at a high level in the amateur arena, I did play a lot of football. I played under 20 for my school, SMA. I played for River Street Strikers. I was involved in all sort of, in fact, let me tell you, while I was at the SMA, I remembered, I ran for my house, St. Francis, and I came out second and put the first 50 points on the table before our athletic meet. So even if I'm not talked about, you have not heard much about me, but I've done my due. And Joseph Raymond can tell you he's another police officer. He was the number one who put 75 points on his house. But the point is, when we ended the race, he was so burnt out that when I reached in the yard, I was bumping as if I could go another 1 kilometer again. So if we had to continue, I would have been the winner. So I played my part in sports, and not only that. I want to big up Saka Boy too, Saka Boy on Hillsborough Street. He mentored us in respect to, making us, what we were at the time in sports, training us, giving me some, interestingly, while I told you about second, that is why training is very important. I can remember prior to making that, our athletic meet, and so going to do the cross country. Yeah. It was so important that he took me a week prior to that, and we did 2 of that route, cross the river, go up Bemsel, cross the river, go backward and come up. And interestingly, when we started the race from the yard and we did the same route, it was like, easy. So that's what training is and preparation is all about. But Spag, let me say good night to Roseau Central, and let me say good night to the many listeners via Radio Land, whatever medium that you use to, listen to us. We have to say good night to you Dominicans, good night wherever you are. It's always an interesting and a pleasure to be in studio. And before my partner send me a callot in New York City, I must call him. Morrill, good night, you and the guys. I know you're in the backyard. I know tomorrow is barbecue night. And let me just hail you up. I know we will see very soon, but I just want to say good night to you and big up the guys. And many of my friends, I don't want to get into calling names tonight because, when you start, you cannot finish. But I just want to say to Dominicans that we cannot give up on our beautiful country, notwithstanding what is being done, what we are hearing, and the bad light that this government has been putting Dominica into since the women 20 years. In fact, they have expired already. Anywhere else in the world, this government would not be in government because the kind of bad exposure they have given Dominica with respect to dirty linens. And when they finish, they talk about dirty linen. But they have been exposing this country to dirty linen, and when we merely repeat what they do, they say, why should we wash our dirty linen in public? But if you had not done in the first place the injustices that you have done to this land, how then we could have dirty linens to even wash? So you need a new government to clean up those dirty linens and to make sure Dominica restore its pride and restore its number one position with respect to sanitizing the country in all respects, get rid of corruption, and to bring a new face to this country so that the international world and the people of the world will respect us once more. Thank you, Spat.
All right. Thank you very much, Soso. I just getting a message from, Mr. Joseph Hunter, always listening from Canada.
Oh, definitely.
And he said, Roberto is not doing too well. I spoke with him 3 weeks ago. He had surgery on his leg and maybe be returning to Dominica with one. So he's not doing too well. So I just want to keep
Joseph Hunter, good night to you.
Yeah, that thing. Yes, I was in Paradise Valley. And before I left Paradise Valley, man, I went by U.W.P. Yes, and I drink wine. So does come and drink a wine, but I get a wine from by Lucille. But also when I go by Suso, I don't tell, I don't Blue get jealous. I tell her, Suso, let me stay at this room too much. So that's why I didn't really, I could walk across and go by Blue, but I said that Suso kept me too much and I had to go. So Blue, next time I'll pop in by you.
So you come in my way and drink all my wine and what you left for me now.
But at least you had me right there in your area. So it was nice being in Paradise Valley and had first-hand look of what really the river did. Some people abandoned the property right there. It's sad, and nothing has been done in the area. We can talk about that as well. And let me welcome to the studios no stranger to the Q95 and to the Workers Program from the Roseau North constituency, Mr. Danny Luge.
Well, thank you and good evening. Wherever you're joining us from, I can assure you it's going to be a very interactive and very interesting program. To the people of Roseau North, special good evening. All the Roseaus, Roseau South, Roseau Valley, Roseau North. I would just like to welcome you. And whether you're in the diaspora, I know my brother Peter is moved. I don't want to sell out his movement, but he left New York and landed in another state to surprise one of his very good friend who is an ex-policeman and a pastor in the United States of America. So let me just say, wherever you are, we love you very much. And it's always refreshing to come in your studio to share with you a lot of information and to hear from you also, because the interaction is very, very important to us. But, tonight, it's going to be, a very interactive session. So stay tuned for a very productive night. We will sign off about 10.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's going to be interesting. I know that the 2 hours passed so quickly.
Yeah. But after I have to pass my cat eye for just to hear some karaoke. But let me just say quickly, before we start the discussion, we also tonight we'll be giving a few tickets away for the car raffle. The car raffle continues. Sales for the car raffle continues tomorrow in front of the Prevost Cinema from 8 a.m. The tickets are only $5, and you can also win a Mazda Demio, a flat screen TV, or a rice cooker. Mr. Ken Joseph and Bernie Ryan, Edincott Senval, and the entire group will be there to serve you for the entire day. We'll be there, Mr. Ezekiel Basil. So you can join us there. But tonight we will be also giving a few tickets, so you can call in, listen to us tonight, listen to what's going on, and it might give you a few tickets on the car raffle. So join us tonight. You can call in and participate. Our questions are always about United Workers Party. So just think of what United Workers Party did in between 1995 and 2000, and you can win yourself some tickets. We're not trying to make it too hard, but you have to make sure that your thinking cap is on, and maybe your children are there as well to know and to learn from what was done back in the day to ensure that we had that type of level of development that we have. Let me say good evening to the pineapple man in Salisbury, Mr. Stephen John Jones. Stephen have all the pineapple. If you're looking for pineapple, just check for the red pickup around town. Maybe tomorrow. I know it was a short crop this year at this time, but you just want to check out the pineapple man from Salisbury, Mr. Stephen John Jones, for all your sweet pineapple from Salisbury. Yes, somebody just join us there. He came from Sports Rap and he jumped in. The newly elected president of the Dominican Cricket Association and from the Vilcas constituencies, Penville, Vickers, and Thibault. Let me welcome Mr. Clement Masley.
And the deputy political leader of the United Workers Party.
Yes, I just mentioned you earlier on. So that was thing. That was welcome you once again. Yes, Mr. Lugi. Yes, go right ahead.
All right, good evening to everybody. Good evening to listeners, well-wishers of the party. Tonight I have to switch caps quickly. But nonetheless, both of it stems around national development. I want to say a special good evening to my daughter and my constituents from Vickers, Thibault, and Penville. Good evening to Dominicans listening at home and abroad. Good evening to the members of the United Workers' Party, wherever you may be right now. It's always a pleasure serving alongside you all. We are the ones who steady in the battle, and we just want to encourage us to keep the faith and continue working towards the betterment of for all Dominicans. Good evening to the illustrious panel. always good. Always good being in company, especially my good friend Soso. Hector, it's always a pleasure, Hector, and the usual but steady guy, Mr. Luge, the one who is very versed on the guitar. And I just want to reach out to Mr. Linton, wherever he may be right now, Miss Joseph, Francisca Joseph, and everybody in the part of the team, the leader of the party. Good evening, sir, wherever you may be tonight. I just hope that the interest of Dominica continues to drive you, and that we all can continue to work toward the benefit of our lovely island, and be reminded that whatever we do, it's for those who are unable to have a voice, those who are unable to really do what we're doing, which is represent others and the best interests of all Dominicans. So good night, and we're looking forward to a very interactive session and as many calls as possible, and that we could continue the fight, continue pushing on for better for each and every Dominican, regardless of what political circle or side that you're on. The best interests of Dominica ought to be at heart, and that's what we're here to discuss respectfully tonight. And I just hope that at the end of the day, somebody will go home with a good, or even be home, wherever you may be, on your couch, in your kitchen. The message would resonate, and that will continue in the toil for a better Dominica, the best place to work, to live, and to enjoy life.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Clement Masler. Let me just say good evening to my neighbor, Mr. Morrison Macpherson. He tell me that, neighbor, I'm listening.
Good evening, Macpherson. That's a good, and a good colleague of mine, past colleague of mine. Yeah. Also used to play. I always remember him for playing that square court. No matter where we go, to have a team retreat, he has that bat. He's quick on the back foot to give you a square court.
That's his favorite shot.
You not miss that square court.
Yeah, and also Mr. Alvan Christopher and Campbell. I just want to say, he said listening religiously, and just want us to big him up. And Fimba Warrington already, my friend. Everybody. There's a lot of people who listen to us, and I'm happy about that, because you can see that we are reaching out to a population that people are beginning to listen. And what is interesting, again, there's a lot of young people beginning to meet me on the street and say, I listen to your program, even though it's my granddad put it on, but I am in the hall, I will listen. So they're beginning to and during that time, the latencies, there's not a lot of noise, not a lot of music. People just sit down and ponder and reflect. So they listen. So it's important that we continue to educate the masses. And tonight we'll be talking about electoral reform, and before we start, Mr. Linton make some points on that issue, so then we're going to take it from there. So Mr. Lugie, you can go ahead and play it first. Right.
No, well, yeah, I'll just do an introduction, and then we'll
play the insert. Yeah. Okay, then let's take it from there. Go right ahead.
It's already March 16th, 2023. The first phase of the Dennis Byron proposed legislation should have already been before Parliament, according to Sir Dennis' original timetable, and that was February last month. I have not heard of one public education session by our Electoral Commission. So we of the United Workers' Party are doing the education as to what is in the proposed legislation. On December 6, 2022, there was a one-man selfish reset. Close to 70% of the electorate did not participate in the one-man reset. So tonight, despite the smoke and mirrors and the 15-year-old repeat scam and promise of international airport, first funded by the Chinese, and now the Anthony Hayden front-loading plan of our passport money with the stamp of approval of a clueless captain. Tonight, we will keep the conversation squarely focused on what matters to the long-suffering people of Dominica. The people must determine what is important and dictate to the corrupt leaders what must be done without fail and without any further delay. The Byron February timetable and Byron draft legislation has already been violated by Skerrit. We, the taxpayers, have paid to Sir Byron almost $750,000. It now behoves the Electoral Office, Parliament, and the Cabinet of Ministers to get busy with the people's business of electoral reform. This will mean that the Electoral Office must engage in island-wide education of the public on what is in the Sir Dennis Byron report. The people will not accept any further excuse nor delay. Come first quarter of 2024, everything must be in place for fresh elections with comprehensive reform. Voter ID cards, complete re-registration exclusively on island, campaign finance reform, among others. This evening, we will hear from President of the United Workers' Party on the electoral proposal and the party's concerns on the proposed legislation. Stay tuned for a very informative and interactive show this evening. So I'll now go into the clip from Honorable Lennox Linton.
Since you get that, we can remember we have free tickets given tonight. Just listen to us on the Workers' Voice. Free tickets for you can win that Mazda Denyu. Mr. Lugue, go right ahead.
A key thing that most people spoke about, we should have ID cards for voting. The report says the introduction of voter identification cards to persons registered as electors supported with biometric data was considered one of the most important reforms by almost everyone. This was regarded as essential to eliminate or minimize a wide variety of fraudulent conduct at elections, including impersonation and multiple voting. The issue of these voter ID cards has been mandated by Clause 11 of the proposed new Registration of Electors Act, and the process details are found in the regulations to that act. So the new legislation from the reform exercise is going to mandate the use of ID cards for voting. So that's one thing. But also the electoral reform conversation and interest also focused on, very importantly, the question of cleaning the voters list. With regard to that, Part 5 deals with what is called the confirmation process. That's where the cleaning of the list, the new list, or having a new list comes in. It says, listen carefully, any person who is registered as an elector on the date when the new act comes into force is entitled to be registered as an elector in the preliminary register established under this act. Let me explain what that means. The legislation goes into effect in April. Everybody who is on the register of voters at that time automatically is registered as an elector. Now, every such person must apply to have his or her registration as an elector confirmed within the period established by the commission. So let's say the commission establishes a period of 6 months for confirmation on the register. Then the legislation goes into effect in April. By October, everybody whose name is coming from the previous register would have to confirm their registration. And then it says the name of a person who is not confirmed shall be deleted from the register of electors. Such a person has a limited period within which to apply for late registration. The confirmation process, as detailed in the regulations, require compliance with the new provisions for obtaining a voter identification card. In order to be confirmed, the elector must obtain a voter ID card. The voter must supply personal and biometric data in order to obtain the voter ID card. Persons who reside overseas would typically have to return home to Dominica for this exercise. A person who is not confirmed within the confirmation period would be deleted from the register of electors. The financial implications of confirmation would vary depending on the location of an eligible person and the cost of traveling to the Commonwealth of Dominica. This means that it will be more costly for some than others, and an eligible person who could not come home for financial, health, or other reasons would be disenfranchised. Responsible authorities should put arrangements in place to mitigate this situation, particularly as it is those with the least economic means who are most vulnerable. Clauses 51 and 52 make provision for the Commission to designate suitable places overseas as enrollment centers and provide limited relief to late applicants. During the consultation with the leader of the opposition and his team, concerns were expressed about the retention of Clause 51. There were two main concerns: mistrust of the system and fear of corrupt manipulation of the procedures. The preference that persons who wanted to exercise their franchise must come home to ensure their place on the register of electors was also emphasized. Square brackets have been placed around Clause 51 to indicate it may be deleted. I would invite consideration of some reasons that may justify retaining Clause 51. During our consultations, there were representations that the governing party was much better funded than other political parties, and that they used money to bring voters to Dominica in numbers large enough to influence the outcome of an election. It would seem that such an advantage could be eliminated by using technology-enabled systems to facilitate eligible persons to establish their right to vote without having to incur the expense of or obtain funding to travel to Dominica. Any arrangement that could reduce the cost of travel for this purpose for some people is an improvement on the default position. Selecting about 4 suitably located centers around the world should mitigate the cost for overseas voters and demonstrate the commitment to ensure that no eligible voter is disenfranchised. It would be logistically and financially impractical to establish too many enrollment centers. The Commission could make an evidence-based selection of suitable overseas locations. This question of overseas confirmation of persons on the register of voters is troubling to us in the Opposition United Workers' Party for many reasons. We think it's a Trojan horse for manipulation of the process in terms of the overseas residents. We believe that sending enrollment officers from Dominica to select parts of the world where there'd be enrollment centers set up is inherently discriminatory and really doesn't address in a material way the cost consideration that the consultants have raised, because the people spread far and wide across the globe from Dominica. The way that is fair to all concerned is for them to return to Dominica to have their franchise reestablished if they've lost it. And they've lost it by their own actions, not by anybody else's. So they should come back to their homeland to be confirmed on the register, because they have to come back to their homeland to vote anyway. They can't stay where they are and vote. Voting remains an in-person thing that takes place in the Commonwealth of Dominica, where the government is being elected or chosen. So the question of being concerned with the financial implications of confirmation on the register for persons living overseas without any concern expressed for the financial implications of persons living overseas coming home to vote, especially where we know one political party through the last 3-4 election cycles have been finding money that nobody knows where it's coming from, to spend millions of dollars on paying the airline passages and paying for the ferry tickets to persons to come in to vote, corruptly influenced to vote in the election. And any arrangement that allows that sort of manipulation of the process, even at the level of the confirmation, is of grave concern to us. And so we place that on the table because the consultant in his report did indicate that the opposition expressed its reservations about that particular clause. And he did indicate that it was square bracketed, meaning it was likely to be removed, but he invited comments and justifications why it should be retained. And one of them, even stated in the report itself, has to do with the financial implications of confirmation on the register. I don't see how you could be catering for that by setting up 4 enrollment centers in the world community, which means that for the majority of people from Dominica living overseas, there will not be easy access to those enrollment centers. Let's say the enrollment centers are set up. You have one in New York. You have another one in Miami. You have one in Antigua maybe, and you have another one in London. So you have 4 enrollment centers. How easy is it for Dominicans all around the world to find themselves at those centers? So why not consider some other thing that is fair to everybody? If everybody is interested in maintaining themselves on the register, then this is their country. This is where we are. This is where we live. You're voting overseas for a government to run the lives of people who are living here. So then come down, be among us, your brothers, your friends, your family, to confirm yourself on the register. What's so difficult about that? What is the obsession that the consultants have with trying to facilitate this? Because it does nothing that they're saying it will do. This question of not disenfranchising people, you cannot talk about not disenfranchising people when you're starting out with a process that is inherently discriminatory. A facility that will not reach everybody, a facility that will discriminate against some. So how fair is that?
Okay. If you listen to Ms. Linton's presentation, he raised a lot of concerns that one of the challenges that I have is that overseas registration process. That is a Achilles heel for me. That's a problem for me. That's a problem for Dominica. You're going to, as I said, you're not going to create that level playing field. You're going to disenfranchise a lot of people. Why? For me, is the influx of where they'll have people registering where they want, how they want. I think if you're voting here physically, you have to vote here physically. You should come back here physically to ensure that you're on the voters list. That should be the process, and I'm hoping that we can discuss more of it. But clause 51 has to be discussed tonight as we continue the program. So as you listen to the program, gentlemen, you're free to make a contribution.
Yes, it is interesting that, we come back to electoral reform, which is something that is very essential and integral to our democracy. But before I go there, I would like to connect, something relating to what was observed earlier this week in terms of Commonwealth Day. And that Commonwealth Day, there was a message from the UK Foreign Secretary, Mr. James Cleverly, who actually crafted a good message. But here's what he had to say just before I come to that, because we'll connect, right? Mm-hmm. And I quote, "While there is a lot of the Commonwealth or any other multilateral organization can do to make a real difference, I believe we are at our most effective when we focus our efforts on a few essential aims." End of quote. He went on to say, "Firstly, the Commonwealth has the potential to deliver more on democracy, good governance, and the rule of law." End of quote. I say so because I wanted to correlate that with the values that were actually highlighted in the Commonwealth Charter, which was presented in the Parliament and got the blessings, by the way, of Her Majesty, now deceased, the Queen, so that these values, which are recognized in the Charter, would have been what the Commonwealth Secretariat would recognize. And you're talking about 56 countries and about 2.4 billion people, exercising their franchise. And it's very important. So let us look at the three important values that were highlighted in that message from the UK Foreign Secretary, because I want to correlate that with electoral reform right across the board. Democracy. Under that, I think and I believe what is really meant is that in a democracy, you need people to live free. You need people to be governed. You need people to exercise their franchise, to exercise their rights. And how do they do that? One of the ways in which they do that is through free and fair elections. That is democracy. When you're talking about good governance, you want to make sure that the government that is actually acting on behalf of the people or administrating on behalf of the people would have to show accountability, and they have to be responsible, they have to be accountable, and they have to be transparent. And obviously, in that case, we need in all forms to ensure, whether it's nationally or the national level or the international level, you have to make sure that you root out systemic and systematic corruption. So when you talk about the rule of law, what do we see under the rule of law? You have to respect the rule of law at all times. You make sure that you have an impartial and you have an upright judiciary so that people can exercise their right and feel free to make sure that they respect the rule of law. All of the free values that were highlighted in the message by the Foreign Secretary on Commonwealth Day, which is an important day to us, I believe they can be connected right to what they call electoral reform. Let us go to that point. It is very important that when you, and I want to put it this way, that for some time now, that electoral reform has been on the front burner. It is something that has been talked about for a long time. We have a lot of issues, and the government has recognized that. Even so, the Electoral Commission has already started some work with respect to, trying to bring at least some fairness to the system by introducing some easy measures and simple measures that could at least encourage, the electors to participate free and fair, and they will feel good about it. One of which is the basic ID cards. Remember, they started with basic ID cards. They started, to get some ID cards at least. 2015. Then the government come and install it with what they call a national ID card, not recognizing. We talk about a voter ID card. They talk about a national ID card, which of course is already we get that other option with respect to other meaning or other plans and objective with respect to that. We talk about a voter ID card, and you have the simple biometric to identify the voter in question. Now, let me say something. I've said it again. When I'm talking about ID cards, I want to make that point that there should always be less. And in a true democracy, in a real democracy, you know that the electors list cannot be more than the population at no time. Okay?
50% or less.
Right, good. At no time. But let us put it this way. Since now we have established that, and we have seen now we have had 3 cycles of a change of passport in the shortest possible time, is it so hard to give us a basic ID card?
Under the same government.
Under the same government and under the same system. And it's easier. I heard somebody say they can give us an ID card for $10 or whatever. And maybe the person can process. They have the capacity to process at least 1,000 a day. No, I heard somebody say that.
Because it takes you about 15 minutes to get the social security card.
Yeah, so we're not going into all of the dynamics of that, but we know for sure it's easy to give us a card. Simple. So let me say a basic ID card. Let us go back to the Electoral Commission and let us address them tonight directly. And let them understand their role as the Electoral Commission. And at no time the Electoral Commission should abdicate its responsibility in any way, shape, or form. That is your work to do. Now the point is, they continue to register people. Are they doing something wrong? No, they are not doing something wrong. They are not.
So let us also tie in the elections office, the chief elections office. You said the electoral commission, the commission.
Well, that's the name given to them.
Yeah, but the
electoral office right away there. Yes, and I'm talking about chief election officer and his role and the role of the staff. Right. So we are saying basic ID cards. It is easy when we come to talk about cleansing the voters list. We have been saying that over and over again, and we mean it. That is the education we are giving people. We are saying, look, to every man who dies, man, woman, or child who dies on this blessed land, on this patrimony of Dominica, you can know that must be registered in the registry, except if you die for somebody or some other means, and they will not able to verify that we know about you. What is so hard? that the Electoral Commission and the Electoral Office cannot liaise with at least that quasi-organization to get to lazy the registry and have the registered list cleaned up and eliminate names that are registered on people's names who have been dead for a long time and even present. Each time you get somebody dead, why can't they take their time and remove this list? It's lawful to do so. They have been abdicating their responsibility and they are not doing that. We say that for sure. So we talk about the ID cards and we talk about cleansing the voters list. That at least would have cleansed the list and not have that kind of bloated appearance of that list, right? We saying too, we must in every way try and ensure that no Dominican is disenfranchised in any way, shape, or form. And what you've heard our president just enunciated with respect to the audio clip that we have heard, we see based on what was said and based on the actions of the government and the direction that the government wants to take, we suspect a number of Dominicans will be disenfranchised that we do not want. So we are saying, if you are opening offices in New York, Miami, Antigua, St. Lucia, wherever, you have to do it all about. The question is, can the country afford that? No. So since the country cannot afford it, then you are disenfranchising Dominicans anywhere else in the world. Yeah. You cannot be selective. You just cannot be selective. Okay? So we get that. So at least, if you are interested in your country, it's like people who left Dominica. Some people say they would want to come back to retire. So they would buy their homes, they would make sure they secure, and by all now, they would be built, and they say their rest home would be Dominica. In their golden days, in their days of rest, in their days of retirement, they chose Dominica to be their home. That's what they do. They come back. A lot of people, if you ask them in Dominica, they say they're not interested in the electoral system. Even if at all, let them have a chance to choose. We talk about good government. We talk about democracy. When we live in a democracy, we choose. We have a right to choose. So if Dominicans are interested in the business of participating in electioning or participating to vote, let them come and register in the country to do that. You cannot open a system or open a loophole whereby people you feel that you can communicate with and pay their passage to go a certain place to go and register, and you cannot sustain that all over the place. You have to stop that. And people have to understand, we're going to use big jargon tonight, heavy terms. Electoral reform is a basic rule, democratic rule, where people should be able to exercise their franchise in a free and fair manner. And we are saying some of the things that have been highlighted, we see where the government want to put a big obstacle in the way, and we say we cannot do it. So I will stop there for now, but I just wanted to ensure that some of the values and principles, by the way, there are 16 values in that Commonwealth Charter, but I was happy that the Foreign Secretary was able to highlight 3 of those values that are so fundamental to our democratic rights with respect to having a better Dominica where all can live, enjoy life, and work to make sure that we have a prosperous Dominica.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, just to add on to the salient points that Soso also brought, I think even if you glance at the theme of this year's Commonwealth Day celebration, which is forging a sustainable and peaceful common future, it lends to the fact that there is need to address that situation that exists with electoral reform with alacrity, because it has been a vexing issue, in the words of the Prime Minister himself, and rightly so, because once the individual finds themselves on the rough end of the stick, they would be opened, or would be there's the likelihood that they would want to push back to the system, and it keeps us in that constant back and forth. It keeps us really pushing for what we deem is right and what we know is right as well. And it doesn't allow for that harmonious operation throughout the country. That constant fighting over things that ought to be done right. It's not like we're asking for something which is really far-fetched. It's just really doing what is right. And it lends to a very divisive process, and we should be very mindful of that. And that the issue of electoral reform is one that is way beyond its time. It is one that we should have done years ago. I am one who would advocate for re-registration, complete re-registration, and ensuring that everything is done above board, above par. And we can't, for example, you own your your debit card, your name is inscribed on that, but to use it today, you still need an additional form of identification. Why is it that we are so bent on allowing that process where you come into a voting a polling station to cast that very important vote, and one has to be mindful of the weight that your vote carries? For you exercising that franchise, you are actually determining the destiny of not only yourself, but of future generations by electing somebody to represent, to make the policies, to guide the strategic direction of a country. And it's something that we have to remind ourselves that our votes are real sacred. And an individual is able to come in and say, my name is Danny Luge, may be looking like Danny Luge or may not look like Danny Luge. Someone simply questions, are you really Danny Luge? And the only thing you do is either, if you don't want to affirm, if you don't want to take an oath, you make an affirmation that and your vote goes straight into the ballot box.
Counted.
And it's counted. And you are now able to either to really deprive somebody of electing a government that is really reflective of the will of the people, and that can't be right in my mind. And in any reasonable person would say, we really need to get it. And I don't see why the aversion of doing what is right. I don't see why there's that pushback on doing something simple. So, for example, another case in point with the section that has been now being topical is that you want to validate the individual overseas, but they can't remain overseas to exercise that franchise. They must return to the country to be able to vote, because we don't, or even under this legislation, it doesn't make allowance for electronic voting.
Exactly.
So why not come back home? If you are so interested in ensuring that you exercise that franchise, and we understand there are people who may be working abroad, we understand that, but the burden of proof ought to be dealt with right on island, because I don't see in any way, sort of form, that we are going to successfully be able to address effectively that concern by having 4 centers or 5 or 10 or even 100. It doesn't stay in congruence with anything that is wise. It will be too costly to do every nation in the world. It will be impractical to have people fly from all distances to get to that confirmation center and then to come down at some other time to vote. Just allow our people to come back, and when they come back, they will be contributing to our economy anyways. They will be doing that by sending remittances to their families, but whenever they travel back to the island, we expect there to be some increase in economic activity. So allow our people to come back. If we have 100,000 Dominicans all over the world, let them come back in that period. We will see a significant increase in economic activity. So we have to think of those things, and which is towards the utmost or to the general improvement of what exists and towards the development of our country. And I don't see the reason why we have been going back and forth. I don't see a good reason why we've been going back and forth. Anything short of that is either for a personal gain or for an unfair advantage, and that doesn't augur well for our nation. It doesn't augur well for our people, and it's not in keeping with good governance.
It's still okay.
Yeah. We must remember that there's a background and a history for our call for electoral reform. In the case of Hector, John, and myself, we've been watching that close range since 2008.
That's correct.
2009, we've been meeting with ambassadors, we've been meeting with people from several organizations advocating for electoral reform. So there's a background, and if we're talking about actually implementing the reforms now, you cannot implement the reforms and we still end up with the same problems. In the clip we listened tonight from President Linton, he made a lot of mention of the voter ID cards, and Sir Byron himself refers to a voter ID card. But you will notice that Prime Minister Skerrit is not talking ever of a voter identification card. He's talking about a national ID card. Why is that? That seems very devious and deceitful of a Prime Minister who wants to hang on to power by any means necessary. And he knows, while he knows that that's how he's been winning, the whole population, including labor rights, knows that a lot of cheating going on.
They do that.
So the two of the areas highlighted by President Lennox Hinton, one, the question of a voter ID card, where on that card, it will have the constituency that you vote. There will be a special code in there so that if you take that card and go to another voting district, you will be picked up right away. So we want that unique voter identification card as agreed by Dennis Byron. Secondly, the whole question of verification to be done overseas. I think our president, our political leader, our deputy political leader, he is there tonight, have been very strong on that. It must be done in the Commonwealth of Dominica. Anytime you open it up to go into 4 centers around the world, it will never be fair. You will never cover everybody. But if voting and selecting a government, the foundation of our democracy, is so important, I think any fair-minded Dominican will agree to come back home to make sure that their name is on the list. The whole question of residency in the existing laws, there's a lot of emphasis placed on residency. In the proposed changes, I think there's a little drift away from the residency criteria. But I think our party have been very strong on that. If you do not live and work in Dominica, this disqualifies you. If let's say you overseas for a period of time, like you're a student in university or in a college,
You don't want to, so you mean
you live overseas, but you can still come back to vote, and that is, we will agree to that. But for you to be living and working overseas, and the abuse that Hector, John, and myself, and those have been following this issue for a very long time, if we do not have the re-registration done in Dominica, we'll come back to square one, and we will not be able to clean up the list. You will have 70,000 people on the list when the actual electors are just about 40,000 people. So, we have to deal with that issue once and for all. And I think clearly most reasonable-minded Dominican, whether you're Labour, whether you're Freedom, whether you're U.W.P, and you're fair-minded, you realize we have a problem, and to fix the problem, we have to ensure that we get the changes that we're asking for.
Yeah, and just quickly, knowing the nature of this government, I'm concerned about even the staffing structure and how they're going to do operating with what they are proposing. And one of why I said so is because we have had the experience during our own local scenario where you had persons who come to register and registering without an address. In right in Dominica, my brother. You send people come and they say they're living on River Street and that address doesn't exist. Either it doesn't exist or they don't live here. How then you going to clarify? Where do you live? Do you have now an overseas address? What is your address for registering when you are left to register at some of the centers? We cannot allow that. But I want to make the point so that people get it clear that it is not just through an audio that we are appealing and we have made, reference to some of what the government is trying to initiate. We must let the world know that United Workers' Party has presented a paper with respect to the electoral reform and as to what we believe would be fair with respect to allowing our people to participate in free and fair elections. So we have submitted some recommendations. We've talked about the tripartite organization, where you had the OECS, CARICOM, and even the Commonwealth got involved in presenting paper with respect to electoral reform.
A local pressure
we,
group.
we had local pressure group doing that. So it is not now we are talking about electoral reform. There's enough substance. In fact, even before Dennis Byron was assigned or given that assignment to undertake, I believe he himself would have browsed. He would have browsed all of the information that came out and recommendations, even to get an idea as to what at all was recommended. So he didn't, and by the way, he didn't deviate too much, Is mostly what he came up with, by and large, is what already has been proposed by all the groups who have participated. So we want people to understand that it is not now we have begun that process. Some time ago, we've tabled it in the parliament as a United Workers' Party opposition force, and we've had enough recommendations coming from various sectors and various interest groups around Dominica and overseas as well.
And very consistent as well in terms of the what everybody looking for in terms of electoral reform. You're listening to the Workers' Voice here on Q95 in studios this May with Mr. Danny Luge from the Roseau constituency, Mr. Glenroy Coffey from the Roseau Central constituency, and Mr. Clement Maslin, or deputy political leader from the Vilcas constituency. We're discussing electoral reform. You're listening to us on Q95 FM, also on Q95 FM radio on Facebook. We are there as well. You can join us and make your contribution in that discussion. But we're going to take a short break, maybe just for 5 minutes, to just do a quick raffle. Quick questions for you have an opportunity to win some tickets for the car raffle that takes place on July 3, 2023. We'll be raffling a Mazda Demio car, a flat screen TV, and also a rice cooker. So now I'm going to ask you a question, and I'm going to open the lines for you to answer quickly. Look, my telephone lines are going already. and the question is simple, and you can the head of the committee told me that we have at least 4 tickets to give away. So on this question, I'm going to ask you quickly. Yes, we will definitely play some music there, Levy Dominic, because we don't want to have any copyright infringement. So it's my song. So they cannot have. But the question is simple. Name me. We have 3 ministers, and that was under the United Workers' Party's time. The Minister of Health, who was that person? The Minister of Education, who was that person? And also the Minister of Tourism. You have to give me the proper titles. Simple. The question, you can win yourself 2 tickets for that question. If you answer this question, you can win yourself 2 tickets. Who is the Minister of Health? Who was the Minister of Health, the Minister of Education, and the Minister of Tourism during the reign of the United Workers' Party between 1995 and 2000?
Hello. Yes. Repeat the question.
Who was the Minister of Health, the Minister of Education, and the Minister of Tourism under the United Workers' Party?
Minister of Health was Doreen Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Minister of Education was Ron Green. And the other one is
Tourism.
Norris Prevost.
I said, give me the proper titles. So,
Honorable Norris Prevost, Honorable Doreen Paul, and Honorable.
You're still missing something. Simple. It's missing something simple. You're there, but you're missing something simple.
Senator Norris Prevost.
Okay, you get it. that means you will listen. All right, give me your name and number.
My name is Paul Joseph.
Mm-hmm. Not from Laplin?
615-4032.
615-4032. You're from where?
Trafalgar.
Oh, Trafalgar. All right, cool. Paul Joseph from Trafalgar. Yes, you have won yourself 2 tickets. We would just wanted to give that 2 tickets because I think time is not on our side. So you're lucky, man. So you get 2 tickets for this one. All right. Thank you for calling me, Paul. Yeah, well, just contact us. I'll give them the number, your name and number at the office, and you'll come with proper proof of identification to get your tickets. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
You take care, Paul. Thank you for listening and thank you for joining us. That was very quick with Paul. Look, my phone is going elsewhere as well. People want us to ask. Just let me ask another. Paul was very quick on this one. We're going to ask you another question. When did the United Workers' Party started the discussion on electoral reform? Can you answer this one for me quickly? When did the United Workers' Party started the discussion on electoral reform? A rally was held somewhere. We have been saying that on the radio all the time. So give us a quick question, that answer quickly, and you can win yourself a ticket as well as we wind up on the questions for this week on the car raffle. Tickets that we're selling for the car raffle that takes place on July 3rd, 2023. You can win a car. You can also win a flat screen TV and a rice cooker. So question is, when did the United Workers' Party started the discussion on electoral reform? Good evening. Welcome to the Workers' Voice.
Yes, Pags.
Yes.
Newtown in 2008.
No, you have a little error right there. Okay. Thank you for calling in. Let somebody else get a try. You were close. You were hot, but not hot enough. Thank you very much for calling in. Who was when United Workers' Party started the discussion on electoral reform? The caller was very, very close. Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Workers' Voice.
Good evening. 2005.
Where? What happened 2005?
At I did it. I don't get Londonderry.
No. You mix it up. If you were listening to the first caller, you would have gotten it correctly. Sorry about that. Let me let somebody else get an opportunity. You missed it by something. Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Workers' Voice. What's the answer?
Well, I can only extrapolate. It has to be Newtown 2005.
Very sharp. Very sharp, yeah. So, what's her name?
Clem is the name.
Clem James.
Yeah.
A number?
616.
616.
2239.
2239. Thank you very much for calling in.
You're welcome.
All right. Yes. Can we give the last ticket? The last ticket. Yeah, one more ticket, and our phones are going. So you want to give a question? You have a question. You have a question. Okay, I'm going to give a quick question. Yes, I'm going to give a quick question there, and somebody can answer. We have other discussion going about the international airport. Can you tell me? Yeah. Yes, for true. Simple. How many reports were done by United Workers' Party before even starting the international airport? You are not in public domain for the past couple of days, so you should know that. Simple question: how many reports were done by the United Workers' Party before even starting the construction of the international airport in the Londonderry area? Very easy question. Let me go back to this one. Not this one. Okay. Yes, phone call. Good evening. Welcome to the Workers' Voice. We missed this caller. Yes, the question is, how many reports were done by the United Workers' Party before the construction of the international airport that they proposed somewhere in 1999, 2000? How many reports were done? Simple question. Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Workers' Voice. Good evening. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, good evening.
Good evening. Is it 5 of them?
No, not 5.
Okay.
You need to get a bit hotter than that. Thank you very much for calling in. Yes. How many reports were done by the United Workers' Party? Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Workers' Voice.
47.
No. Too hot. Yes. Hello, good evening. How many reports were done by the United Workers' Party?
11.
Tight. Very close. Okay, caller. Let somebody else get a chance. Two times you were calling in and you're very close. Oh man, you missed it by. Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Workers' Voice. Hello. Oh, we missed this caller. Yes. Simple question. How many reports were done by United Workers' Party? Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Workers' Voice.
Hi, good evening again.
Yes, good.
Is it 10?
No, not 10. Okay, thank you for calling in. Hello, good evening. How many reports were done?
9.
No. Thank you for calling. Oh no, there are some people on Facebook, right? Oh my God, sorry. You seen anybody have the correct answer there? If you see anybody the correct answer, I will. Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Workers' Voice.
14.
Hello?
14.
No. Almost there.
You see?
Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Workers' Voice.
Okay, last try. 12.
Yes. All right. Mr. Dura, right?
Yes.
I pick up the Mr. Martel Dura. All right, thank you, Mr. Dura, for calling in and winning that ticket. It was your ticket. Give me a number.
225-5173.
225-5173. So you have the first person, Mr. Paul Joseph of oh, sorry about that, Sandra. Where was he come from? Trafalgar? Yes. Paul Joseph from Trafalgar. We also had Mr. Clem James. Paul Joseph got getting 2 tickets. Clem James 1 and Margel Jura 1. Online. Okay, Sandra Green online. We will also Mr. Clement Master will sponsor the tickets. So we'll open the line next week again. There will be more tickets as we're going and people sponsoring tickets as well. So we want to make sure that you're part of it. But we also encourage you to buy your tickets as well. Tomorrow we'll be in front of the Prevo Cinema from 8 a.m. with the vehicle will be there as well. And we'll be going forward from the July 3rd July 2023. Yes, Mr.
Sandra Green, you are I'm just asking you, just send me a message by a direct message on Facebook, and we'll do the logistics to ensure that you get your ticket. All right. Good evening.
All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Let's get back into the discussion. The phone lines are going busy, but we'll take in some calls after, but it's to do with the discussion that we're having. And something we spoke about earlier on in terms of the discussion that is very important is for us to stay on message and be very consistent with what we want. And earlier on today, somebody that followed the discussion in dailies told me that we need to give the Dominican population an understanding of the difference between a national ID card and a voter's ID card. And why it is important, a national ID card is broad, it's general. Anybody can have a national ID card. If you 1 month old, you can get a national ID card. But a voter's ID card is specifically for voting. Just for voting. So your constituency, your voting, what do you call it,
Your
catchment
voter
area,
register number,
your voter ID,
registration number.
your basic biometric thing. It's only for voting. It identifies you, and you can only vote with it, and you can only vote one time.
Likewise, you have your identification number that is given to you on the polling list, polling list.
Right.
That exact number would be inscribed
on your card. So and for example, if you are voting in Q1 in Salisbury, you can take that card and go vote in Q2.
No, you cannot.
You cannot.
In fact, when you vote, your card will be punched. So then, obviously, all the logistics will not go in for it.
Yeah.
The simple thing is that, my friend, we need a voter ID
card.
card.
Yeah.
And we already have, to me, a national ID card, which is what they call our passport.
Right.
Is that correct?
Yeah, it is.
Simple as that.
Right. No,
and right now, we're even in an advanced stage. We have what they call the e-passport.
Right.
So we have that already. We're not going there again.
We're not going
national, we need a voter ID card.
For you as a driver, you need your driver, and they will put in a different class, class A, class B, class C driver. You have your big truck.
Class C, man.
Right.
So to come Wednesday.
No. And
so like class C, that's a given.
That's a given.
Something
I can't having a big truck anymore. Class B, man.
Something we must bear in mind when I think of electoral reform, and even some of our Caribbean neighbors. In the case of Antigua, ahead of their last election, you could hear the voice of the chief elections officer. He addressed, for example, the issue of the Africans that were coming in on the jet plane, and he ensured the population and the electorate that they would not be able to participate in the Antigua election.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, in the case of Dominica, why aren't we hearing from our chief elections officer and the Electoral Commission in terms of educating the population? Yes, as a party, we are taking on that responsibility. We've been to several constituencies, but I think the onus and the chief responsibility lies with the Electoral Commission and the chief elections officer and his staff to go out there to educate the electorate on the proposed changes, what already has been discussed with them as the elections office, with Sir Byron, and that's the people who should be leading the discussion and debate on electoral reform in Dominica. And probably if that happens, the population will realize, and it will be easier for them to accept, well, look, there's a really genuine need for reform. But when you have a prime minister shouting from one corner, which he's not supposed to do it, that's not his responsibility.
Right.
The responsibility lies, it comes directly under the mandate of the president of the Commonwealth of Dominica, who is the one that elects the commissioners and who the chief elections officer reports to.
Right.
So I think the electoral office needs to wake up and start doing their job and start educating the public on the proposed changes in terms of what will be brought before Parliament.
And Danny, I want to support the point 100%. And going forward, I believe we should begin to ignore the Prime Minister taking the lead on the discussion of electoral reform. That is not his mandate. He can speak as the Prime Minister of the country on where we are and whatnot, but the way he's taking, want to take the lead and dictate.
Well, that's exactly,
you know,
you got back to the point.
Yeah.
Time ago, we were talking about.
Yeah, and dictate, because look, the man is saying that we are meeting, he's going to meet with Dennis Byron.
It's not he, that is, we can meet who he wants, but the electoral commission, electoral office have to do their work.
No, but not. So, but what I'm saying is that we have not heard anything from Mr. Stu on his group on when they're meeting the Sir Dennis Byron. The Prime Minister said they're meeting, and the Prime Minister making comments about somebody going to be leading the consultative process.
So do you need a Sir Dennis Byron report to cleanse the voters list?
No.
Do you need a Sir Dennis Byron report to have a voter ID card?
No.
Do you need a Sir Dennis Byron's report to register people?
No.
Thank you very much.
Do you need the Sir Dennis Byron to even give people and the opposition access to the national radio station?
Thank you very much. Do you need that?
No. Basic. And these are the type of things we're trying to bring out there, and it's very important to have that type of discussion. We have to begin to ignore him on some of the issues. Good evening, welcome to the Workers' Voice. Hello, are you listening? Okay, by the way, the lines are open for if you want to call in and make a contribution. It's 18 past 9, 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097, 305-432-9624. 305-432-9624. Some people telling me off on my phone because they were sending the answers already on, on my phone. WhatsApp 265-4334. Randy, turn in Bronx, New York. How are you doing?
We apologize.
We apologize, Francis, Julian, Francis. I saw my phone going, but I was not really checking it. I saw several people following me. So Sean Douglas, how are you doing? Good evening. We're really enjoying the questions. Good evening. Welcome to the Workers' Voice.
Yes, good evening, gentlemen. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Listen, I want to make a very vital contribution tonight, but you always have somebody special everywhere. So good evening. Good evening to you.
Thank you, man.
Let me say this, man, quickly. You see, Mr. Linton, whether people wanted to kill him when he was the leader of the party, but we must never take it out in our minds that wherever he is, representing the United Workers' Party, he will do the same work, and they will still want to kill him. We have to continue praying for him and encourage him. Listen to Mr. Linton. He helps me to understand something. So let me ask you first. Do you know how many countries or islands they went with the passport program they had? You know how many islands?
No, I'm not aware.
No, they're getting some sort of money from the passports. And they cannot go, Lord have mercy. What happened to this? I have to start saying some hard things to that man, They cannot go everywhere to give people, so people can get their passports. And they're getting a little money out of it. You believe they can go everywhere to help us get to register? No. So what Mr. Linton saying, every Dominican, whether you are labor, freedom, once you're Dominican, you must agree to that. Everybody who wants to be taking part of our election in Dominica, they need to come home. I'll come home for 3 months, 4 months, whatever. I will come home and I will stay home because I want to take part. That's it. So let me say this in conclusion. This thing is so important. On the 24th of next month, God permits me, I'll be walking in the polling station in Totola. And I will not be able to walk in there without an ID. I must present an ID to vote. So what is so hard about it? Mr. Scary do not want Dominica to have their proper electoral reform. Mr. Scary, I am concluding this tonight. I want to ask you this question in conclusion. Will Dominicans lose their lives at the expense of you staying in power? Good night.
Good night. Thank you very much. Good evening. Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Workers' Voice. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Workers' Voice.
Yeah, good evening, Frank.
Good evening.
Yes, gentlemen, the point I have made that point before, and I see it as a stumbling block if it cannot be reformed to that degree. When you walk into the polling station, it should be able to be determined whether or not you're eligible to vote or not to vote. And the decision has to be made there, and it should be clear to all that you're either eligible or you're not.
Simple.
When you go to clear a barrel in customs, if you don't have the right papers or if there's something wrong, it's clear to the customs officer and yourself that you're going to have to get what the customs wants for you to clear that barrel. That may not be the best analogy or example, but the fact is that it must be clear whether you can or cannot vote, and that it cannot be that when you challenge it, they say, oh, well, you'll have to challenge it after the election. You understand what I'm saying?
Well, sure.
It has to be determined right there and then. You have your ID card. You can prove that you've been resident. You have an address in Dominica where people know where you're living here, and it is clear. If you fail, you cannot vote. Sorry, goodbye. And that's how it has to be. It has to be made very clear. It's not so much putting the legislation in place, but putting things in place based on the legislation that a decision can be made where all can agree that you're either eligible or not. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much for your contribution. Thank you for calling in. I'm going to take this call and then we'll get back to the gentleman. Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Workers' Voice.
Good evening, gentlemen. How y'all doing?
Hey, good evening.
Sakafet.
Well, if I deja I'm listening.
What can harvest passion fruit?
Oh, c'est ça qui fait la boubou.
Oui.
You are a farmer too.
When Mr. John will bring candy for me, I'll give him passion.
That's bad. You're bringing back butter.
Are you Mr. Man? On the other hand, when you listen to what the one-man government, the way he's speaking, it looks like it's the other way wrong. It looks like he is the one advising Byron on what to do. If you really listen to him, that's how I'm looking at it. I don't know what the problem other people seeing it because I'm the Kenneth Darrow.
Long Avenue, he's an advisor to something, you know, maybe foreign.
He's the one responsible for the electoral
reform.
I didn't know that to show you. I haven't.
I did not hear nothing from Kenneth Darrow. It's the one-man government that running the show. Everything is me and I. So he must be the one advising Dennis Byron on what he should and should not do. Because if we have to sit down and look at this thing going, we'll be in big trouble. Time we start to take the bull by the horn and run with it. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for calling in, Bulbu. Gentlemen, you hearing the sentiments out there is consistent. How do we get those in authority to listen to the cries of the people and deal with it? As Danny said, we have been at that since 2015 and 2005 to now is 18 years.
Yeah,
18 years. And you can tell me we changed passports maybe 3 times in less than 18 years. 2005, 2008, we move into the CARICOM passport. And now we from the other one, we had Dominica, and now we have the CARICOM passport on it. 2008, May 2008 was the deadline. And now we into the electronic passport.
Right.
And we want to go, the people from immigration want to go all over the world.
Right.
And we're just begging for electoral reform, for IDs, for local people to be able to vote. We have had elections in 2009, 2014, 2019, and the sham election of 2022. 4 times. Yet still, we cannot have electoral reform. Just the basic things we're asking for. Gentlemen.
Yeah, clearly, the people of Dominica needs to focus or zero our attention on the institutions who have responsibility for electoral reform.
Yeah.
We can't have commissioners sitting there. The population are aware that there's conflict of interest for some of those commissioners. In the case of Duncan's, though, I can say clearly there's a conflict of interest. As an agent selling passports, he's not too excited about seeing any changes in the electoral laws.
I like that, too excited.
There's the Lawrence brothers, you know.
Cousins.
The cousins. They too, they're not too excited. They're happy with the big check they're going home with selling passport and vending our passports. So the onus has to be on us, the population, to put some pressure there. So I'm saying in the coming years and months, our leader, Thompson Fontaine, has emphasized that by the first half of 2024, everything must be in place. Voter ID card, campaign finance reform, re-registration in the Commonwealth of Dominica, nowhere else, you know. Yeah. All of these must be in place so that we must have fresh elections, because clearly there's a clear sign that the population, 70% of the electorate stayed away from the polls in the sham elections in 2022.
And majority of the people who went to vote, that is the NEP workers, they were forced to vote. They were told they didn't go to vote or even come to camp, follow the campaign trail. They would fire them.
Yeah. So I will re-emphasize that the population, the people of Dominica, has to put a new focus on those who has the legal authority to oversee that transition to the new electoral laws, that everything is in place by the first quarter of 2024 and no later than the first half of 2024 for fresh
something
elections.
quickly before I comment also. Here's something basic and profound. Bro, no active politician should be directly involved in making laws to elect them.
That makes some sense. Yeah. But let me take that discussion to some of the things that really happen in Roseau Central. That's why we've had, a very good. We actually presented a good case with respect to the election petition after the 2019 general elections. And one of the things that we say, let us go for we know there are problems with pre-election, there are problems during election, and there are problems during post-election. So here's the point. A guy came in, and I suspect if he had problems on election day, then he had problems with the pre-registration. And so a guy came in on election day to vote in Roseau Central. He came in with a piece of paper with his name written on it, he said. So what is your name? When you enter, you can be the most illiterate, you must know your name. Right. Even if you cannot read and write, you should know your name. Yeah. Came in with a piece of paper with a name written on it. So what is your name? He cannot even say his name. He's showing it to the clerk. One of the agents one of our agents objected to say, no, this man has never been in Roseau. We never see that person. He doesn't live there because the person is familiar with Roseau Central and the areas in Roseau Central. You know what? The man, like anything else, he presents a name that is on the list, yes, but we're not even sure if that is he. Yeah. Probably in his mind, that was a good approach because he needed a name to vote, but is he the right person to vote? Then, hence the call for a voter ID card. We need that. But interestingly, that man was allowed to vote because he took an oath. His vote was counted.
It has to be counted.
His vote was counted. We objected to it. Then we had to take that name and that situation through an election petition. Here what is happening again, post-election. We had now, instead we hear the matter being ventilated through the courts. You had to have him strike out matter before the court could make a determination as to where you are. What kind of system is that? So just not having a simple voter ID card can put us in a lot of trouble. Tony, I will say again, they are registering officers right now. Yeah. That is why I do not trust that system overseas, and everybody have to come in. And by the way, that approach is just to disenfranchise Dominicans, but why it is more so even relevant that you come to Dominica to register to vote. Right here in your face, you are certain registering officers.
Frustrates you.
They will, besides frustrating you, they're registering people who do not reside where they say they reside, because they do not do follow-up. We had evidence of that, and we had to present it to the court. We couldn't give out all our technique. We know where they came from. We know. We filed. We know. Countless names. We know of a guy and his family who all went to register at a certain point in Roseau Central at 10 o'clock in the night. And I know the same guy and his family. They don't live where they say they live in Roseau Central. They live some part outside of Roseau. I know about that. The point is, we are saying enough is enough or not. You need to be identified with a voter ID card. Glenroy Coffee comes to vote. Here's my ID card. I don't even need to speak. I present my card. You look on your list to verify that that is me. I have the right number. You authenticate that that is my ID number or my voter's ID number. The name coincides with that number. You're good to go. Look your ballot. Go and vote where you wish. And I'm saying, all of this, if all that is happening, and we know that we are operating under a fair system, it is very easy that one concedes on election day if he or she loses. Yeah. It is a simple thing, because the point is, you would have known prior to that, look, I believe, give and take, that was a fair system. Given the ID cards you come for, that was the person who voted and everybody who participated. Notwithstanding, you may have certain things, but I'm saying at least the basics would have given you some conscience to find in your heart and place and mind to say, look, hey, Papa, I concede. I lost. That is it, because I'm satisfied that we had a system at least that met the basic requirement.
What is that so, gentlemen? What is that? Why is that so difficult for Roosevelt?
The guys are blasted thieves. The guys are blasted thieves. They know what they are doing. That is a calculated thing. They have that as that is what they do.
Yeah, that's
what they do. I tell you, that's what they do.
Yeah,
they don't break the law.
Tiffin election.
Tiffin election.
Yeah, and seriously, in May 2017, 25th of May 2017, when the protest action took place by the House of Assembly, when they were going to amend the law to make cheating and bribery legal, I saw Dominicans came out and really stopped scared. And I thought by then he would say, okay, let me just change that and change course and ensure we have reform. That's 2017, 6 years later, we're in March already. And the gentleman is still not, security is still not banning. And I'm telling you, I'm saying it there in the public space, that there will not be another election without reform. There were circumstances that we said it before, and we didn't, some wasn't listening up to it, but I am telling you, from my perspective, from what I'm seeing happen in this country, there will not be another election without reform. Because you heard Mr. Luge, 70% of the electorate didn't go out and vote for you. They don't want you. So that means the population, you are mini minority government.
But with this government, that shame, they just pack up and go.
Pack up and go.
That's good. Because
all people didn't vote for you.
All does not good. Yeah. People do not want to all you. Because the point is, let's be fair about our system. Let me tell you something, man. It hurts, you know. Yeah. It hurts. Especially when you know you are putting all Spags, you take the call, you know. Yeah. The call is important. Yeah, the call is important. Yeah. We need the people to participate.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Workers' Voice. Are you listening to us on the overseas line? Hello. Yeah, it looks like we missed the scholar. You can call in 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-307, 3097, 305-432-9624, 305-432-9624. And if you're calling us, you can WhatsApp us again on 767-265-4334, 767-265-4334. Just want to say good evening quickly to Mr. Dr. Colmore Christian, Mr. Akroy Birmingham, and also Mr. Alvin Thomas. I know you all always listen to radios. Good evening to you all. Don't forget, we have the Carafa continues sales for the Carafa continues tomorrow in front of the Prevost City Mall from 8 a.m. and you can get your tickets for only $5. You can win a car, flat screen TV, and or a rice cooker. Good evening. 449-3095. You can call in and join in discussion as we continue.
Yeah, in one of the consultations held there at the CSA, I remember, and we had the various civic groups and so. The Attorney General, Mr. Levi Peters, he actually attended one of those meetings. I was there, and questions were posed to him. And he admitted in one of the meetings, and he said, should one claim to be living and register on an address where he or she does not live is an offense to the Electoral Act. He said that. Yet, we made complaints about it. I don't know if you could go directly to the police, but the point is we made complaints. We told, we went to the electoral office. We communicated that to them. We objected to it. The point is, the job of the electoral office is to present a list of persons who have violated that part of the act and to present it to the police so the police can do their work. Why would you have people? It is not just good enough to just strike off somebody's name after they have violated the law. That person should face some punishment by the law, so that they themselves will not repeat that. And that is what is happening. This government is pretending and allowing people to do things and have people believing that things they are doing, illegal things, are correct. That cannot be right. You break the law, you're supposed to face the consequences of your action, and that was said by Mr. Levi Peters. I remember that clearly at one of the meetings he attended at the CSA.
You know, under normal circumstances in a democracy, people get fed up of a leader after 2 terms.
But
there.
but long time.
Even in the case of Dame Mary Eugenia Charles, may her soul rest in peace. After 10 years, like she spent 15 years in government.
Yeah, 15 years, yeah.
You know, not that she wasn't performing well.
Yeah.
I cannot say Miss Charles wasn't performing well. She didn't have any issues of dishonesty.
No.
And yet, people get fed up after that length of time.
Yeah.
Roosevelt Skerritt knows fully well that people are fed up with him. You know, and when you reflect on the great opportunity that we had during the tenure of Roosevelt Skerritt, the kind of resources, you know, we never heard of $1 billion budget before that time.
No.
We never heard of CBI passport reaching revenues of $4.5 billion. You never heard of 22 or 23,000 citizens, CBI citizens. So the kind of resources that Skerritt had or has at his disposal, Dominica, we should be living sweet in this country with proper management.
He has his own resources or he has his state resources at his disposal?
I am saying he has that. The people's it is the people's
Right, because we need to do
resources.
CBI passports.
But the fact of the
Right.
matter is,
Under his control.
contrary to the rules and regulation of this country, it is not in our coffers.
That is correct.
So you have billions of dollars out there.
Yeah.
But no matter where it is, if it was properly managed, every single Dominican should be coming back home.
We should be coming back home.
Dominicans should be coming back home to work on an international airport that is paid for dry cash, l'argent cherche. You're talking about front loading the money and then refunding to Anthony Hayden. Are you kidding me? Who does that?
You know,
Who does that?
It's interesting. No, but let me that point. It is interesting. I heard a news breaking news about some monies that were by some foreigner. That, you know, he took some prison and then he had to go to court. Carl broke the news and he said, only about 62,000 what? Euros? Yeah. But then that, interestingly, based on the DPP's comment, that money had to go straight to the consolidated fund, right?
Yeah.
That is the illegal money, is that correct?
Right.
Illegal money, right? Our money body that pays for money we're getting for CBI, that's also going in the consolidated form. You have illegal money going there, but the legal money, our money we paid for, is all going to this. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you, you can impose yourself on people for a time, but let me tell you, these guys must pay for the atrocities they committed against that state of Dominica. And let me tell you something, they are not going to escape with that at all. You all have be on notice tonight. You all will not escape. You all will not escape with those criminal activities.
But you made a point so there. I wanted to just give support to. You said imposing yourself on people. Imposing yourself or forcing yourself on someone is called rape. Forcing yourself on voters is called electoral rape. You're going to rape the Dominican populace or the electorate every time because you're forcing. You're paleo. They do not want you.
You know,
so from now on, the new term for you right now is electoral rape.
Can you imagine that you have several ministers of government? They're not building houses for their wives, you know, for their concubines, all over the place, and people are aware of it. People are aware of it. There's this house, the Sagasso house,
in Rosa there.
going up in the middle of Rosa. Everybody sees.
Nobody knows.
Nobody can tell you who is funding the project, who it belongs to. We're hearing that our president shared the information last week Thursday that money is actually funded by CBI, but is under the name of a sitting minister of government.
And any joke, but that must be laughable, yeah. You know, you're an intermediary. I always say that you are a middleman between a commodity and a market. So let's put it like that, because it's they that say right now the biggest thing we have is passport.
Yeah.
So let's call it our commodity. So you have the intermediaries, that's the guy that sell the passport. They sell the passport.
The middleman.
The middleman. So here's the joke. So the middleman does, or the middlemen do better than the the state.
Yeah,
Because in all respects, I seen more development work by private individuals who are involved in the sale of passport than the state. And then the point, private work. Now the state now is in an abattoir situation where they're using money from that. They're more cooler than no, it's something else, you know. The state is more cooler. That the abattoir is more cooler than anything because they're generating less money than they're spending, right? But the point I want to make, how can your middleman be selling something that is so much of importance to the country? Your product. And he's better than you. He's better than you. Look at every day, no, these guys buy land in Roseau. Somebody fellas. I'm seeing them, the building. And when some people have secret shares and whoever, I tell you, all what Dominica has to get back, all what belongs to Dominica. Because I will tell you what, we could have been a better country. Fellas, we could be a better country because as we speak, the hospital doesn't have basic things. Look at the pot, my brother. Look at the pot. I can't do you, Clement, Mr. I call the senator. I can say, you can call me. Senator, let me give you a break. I'll come back. Senator, I'll come back.
Good. Yeah, you like this one.
No, I was just telling Sozo. He said Dominica will get back everything, but it wouldn't be possible. Okay. And we have to look we have to look at certain things as well and allow the people to understand how important it is to get urgent steps into correcting that. Because the value of money decreases over time.
Right.
So if you spend $1 million today, in 10 years down the line, the same thing that you bought 10 years ago, you can't buy it now.
Right.
So if you are not doing right by the people now, you are actually robbing up things that they will never be able to recoup. And that is why it is so important to ensure that whatever is done now is done right and is to the benefit of every Dominican. So I don't want to interrupt you, but I just wanted to point that.
Senator, thanks for the intervention. And I take your point, and you are correct. We need to correct it now. So that means we need an overhaul, we need a change. But here's my point. We did not even talk about the economic indicators because there's no need for that. Our eyes can see. So we don't need to talk about GDP. No. We need not to talk about unemployment. We need not to talk about inflation. We don't need that in economic indicators that we have to look for to see if an economy is doing well. My boy, to every Dominican who passes along that Goodwill Road to go to Kenville, look on the pot. What do you see? A stack of empty containers. It tells you these containers came in filled, but they cannot go. They remain in Dominica empty. Yeah. So we're not exporting. We have a big problem there. No, I listened to a very good program with Mr. G. I think that was a repeat of, you had Ron Lander and the other guys who were talking. And one of the points that he made...
Global View on Q?
Yeah, Global View on Q. He made that point about the wastage. And I was seeing Clement, Danny, Spags, right now with the advent of information communications technology, we can now have meeting at a stroke of a button with just an ID and a password. Is that correct? So we can have Zoom. Ministers fellas want to justify, going overseas and to get per diem, that they will do anything. You do not have to be always co-located, so that you get the per diem. You can rescue the state from that, and just agree that they can go that virtual means and to have the meeting. All that is part of reducing in terms of the state and let the state be better. You know what we have seen in recent times? I don't know if you have observed it. I know Roseau very well. And there's always sweeps. So even if they try to form companies and so you hear names, I am sure there are more than 3 ministers in this government who are building in Roseau. And I saw the government department is renting in some of them areas.
Yeah. So that's what they're trying to build.
So the point is, I'm saying, if we are talking about developing Dominica, right? You're talking about wasting. All that is transferring funds, letting the state be. You renting out all of the state department. Put a nice headquarters. If you find that you want a proper headquarters, right? You put the state headquarters where you can take everybody. And to do it, why do you want to build a personal building and then know a department has to go in your area, in your building? That is wrong, my brother. That is so wrong. And you know what is happening? These guys now are not focused on the fundamentals of the people in terms of increasing the quality of life of people, or improving the quality of life of people. All they see now is that the Dominicans don't care with them, they can do what they want. That has to stop. Dominicans, Mr. Masler corrected me and he bring a good point. The time is now. You can stop it. We can stop all of that hemorrhaging of our resources, all that wastage of our resources. The ball is in your court. We now have to take the bull by the horn. We just said that, and we have to rescue our country. Let me tell you something. There's no other way it's going to be done. There's no other way it's going to be done. Dominicans need to be forward thinking. We need now, because we have enough information. We are armored with information to get us a justified reason to act according to how we're supposed to act to rescue Dominica.
And that's on that note, let's take this bar right there. Yes, Levy Dominic, because of copyright infringement, I had to just play it because I don't cut us up on Facebook. We're on Facebook on Q95 radio, Q95 FM radio, I think it's on Facebook. You can join us there as well as we discuss on the Workers' Voice this evening. We have had a good discussion on electoral reform, and we're also touching some other areas in terms of the economy, but or discussion that focus on electoral reform. As we're going to wind up, I want to bring in Mr. 11 to 10. You can still call in 4493095, 4493096, 4493097, 305 4329624, and you can also WhatsApp at 265 4334. Let me just take that there quickly before I bring in Mr. Lugie. We want to make a point there. And the person said, I listened with sadness today at the announcement that there is a new member in the St. Joseph, in the village council in St. Joseph, elected today. And do you know what percentage of the voters voted? 1.4% of the registered voters in St. Joseph. The guy won with 20-something votes in village council. Yeah. What does that say about the importance of the democratic process to the government today? So people are not interested because of what they see happening, because you're getting elected. 20. And they put 20. You're getting elected sometimes with the most votes. You win 20? Yeah.
That's exactly what I was going to read.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to read.
That is something. Take this call. Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Workers' Voice.
Hello.
Yes, good evening. Are you? Go right ahead.
Go ahead.
Hello.
Hello, are you listening to us?
Hello, sir.
Go right ahead.
Yeah, I want to make a point here.
Yes, go ahead.
Go ahead.
You all have a very good program, but we need some more education out in the outskirts of Dominica rather than staying on Q95 alone.
No, hello. Hold on a while. We're not staying on Q95 alone. We're going out there as well. We were in Dalis last weekend. Where are you calling us from?
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
I remember when we had the first crisis in politics when Patrick John government fell down. Mike Douglas and O.J. Serafin went around the various constituencies around Dominica and mobilized the people, and then the people took action at that time. I think we need the same kind of activity in Dominica, not depending on Q95 alone. I think we need more than Q95 to reach out. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, caller. Let me just caller, I support what you're saying in terms of going out there more, but we have been doing that, and we call on all Dominicans to join us as well when we go out there as well in these forums. People are still afraid to go. The victimization is real, and what we want people to come out as well and to join us when we dialogue. But we are doing that. I'm with you 100% in going out there, but it's important that we touch bases for everybody across the board, and we're doing that. We're using every medium to do that so far. Yeah.
Say that we gone the whole community and constituency engagements, and so I don't know where he's from, but rest assured, sir, you will feel the pulse of the United Workers' Party in your constituency, because as we have just said, we have begun the process of going through the various community to educate the people. So that is very important. I support you 110%.
Yes, Mr. Loge, you were saying something.
Yeah, well, the note that you just read from WhatsApp, it's telling. And earlier on, I mentioned that when people are fed up, that is what happens.
Yeah, people fed up
That's
with
the
that, man.
results.
Yeah.
You know, if you have
Yeah.
in a St. Joseph
from a
village,
protest, yeah.
Joseph Village Council, 1.4% of the registered voters show up. I mean, come on. Come on.
People have lost system in the, confidence in the system and everything.
And they consider St. Joseph to be a labor stronghold.
Yeah.
But, you know, the reason why that is important, it's showing you that people are shying away. They don't even want to get involved in that process. And if you come, what they're going to find, I think how they're going to reignite the young people and Dominicans get back into that process is by ensuring that one man, one vote, ensuring that you have the power of your vote. Some people vote, it has no value now, according to where you're voting.
And one of the reasons why, again, you see that is that, you see, before time, you had the village councils, and the people were empowered through that, and the people make decisions and decide what they want. So they'll come as a community, discuss, go around, put their feet on the ground, go around and see what is needed for the community. Nowadays, this government want to dictate to the various communities what to do. You can't tell people what to do. You can have an idea, you can discuss it with them. And you know what is important? You know what is more telling of it? When they give you, let's say, their subvention, they dictate to you where that subvention should be spent, where it goes. And that is what that mashing of the system. You have to give the communities a chance to identify their projects and let the communities themselves participate and do what they have to do. Let them be accountable. Let them be accountable and responsible and take charge of the funds that they give them and to show results. That is what you need. So government is just there. You see what they're doing? They're just there to manipulate and to control. And people, I think, fell up with that kind of system. Always saying, I am not going to participate. I have no interest in that, because at the end of the exercise, we are not really in control of what we want to do for our community. Instead, we are dictated by whoever to tell us what to do.
Yeah, but you're right. You're right on that, so and that is a very telling story as to what is happening at the community level. If you are born and raised in a particular community and you see no need to at least contribute to what is happening or to steer the direction of your community, then it asks a very big question as to what is really going on and how the government of the day is really systematically destroying every fabric of our society. And I mean, I'm really appalled by that very news, and we need to ask our people, to really hold on strong and really push back against this, because it really dismantles everything that we have known to work for us: the community spirit, community involvement, and collective responsibility in raising our children. And if we are seeing these signs of degradation within a very large community, and St. Joseph, I would understand for a small village or something, but for St. Joseph, for that to be the results in 2023, when you expect more people who have gone on to maybe educate themselves, come back and serve their communities, doesn't see it fit to really come into the process.
And it's by election,
It doesn't speak well for us, and it's not something that we should gloat over. It is something that we should really look at with very concerned lenses and try to see how we could come in and really make amends to what is really happening. And it's very disheartening to know that. But then again, we need to continue to ask our people, to really come out and let their voices be heard, join in the movement to really rescue Dominica from these clutches.
Yeah. In my final comment, we hear our government saying, if not passports, what? Mm-hmm. At 7:03 this evening, I got a WhatsApp message. Breaking news: Antigua and Barbuda looks to exporting mangoes and avocado. Antigua and Barbuda looks to exporting mangoes and avocado.
If I may, I see the laugh on your face. But if I may, I think the caption should be Antigua and Barbuda seeks to export Dominica mangoes.
I think that is reasonable.
But that is still ambitious.
Yes, very ambitious.
And it's a serious thing. I mean, they mightn't have much quantities, but at least they're leaders thinking about what they could do to increase trade. How many years we are just declining in trade, and it's not because we cannot produce, because when we go to our markets, we see that we have extra produce and people don't even have the money to buy it. You know, by 1 o'clock, you would go and vendors still packed with produce on their trays. And what is the problem? I can tell you personally what the problem is, because Thompson and myself, we started an initiative to ship produce to Martinique. We had a very good market there. And just by this little effort, farmers came to us and said, Mr. Luge, Mr. Fontaine, you know, we're going to open up 3 new acres for you.
Right.
We want to make sure that when you call for dashing,
You can get
we can't tell you no.
Yeah.
We had persons providing us with spice, grapefruits, oranges, limes, avocados, and shipping to Martinique. And we were just on the verge of expanding it. And do you know that people in government were discouraging the farmers from selling to us?
Yes, I
You know,
a farmer who told me
it's
so.
sad
Yeah.
when this really is our strength, and we hear that Antigua and Barbuda, breaking news, Antigua and Barbuda is going seriously into the exports
Where
of
you have
avocados and
So, like,
mangoes.
if I were to close up,
where
if
you have
I-
mangoes, just where you have mangoes and avocados rotten in Dominica, and you got to even export it. So.
Yes, in terms of closing, I would like to say, you know, that Dominica really needs to diversify its economy. We had a missed opportunity whereby the proceeds of the CBI, I believe, were handled badly, and I believe by now the various other sectors should be at least had a good leap with respect to resources being placed in the various sectors. By now we'd be booming, and we'd have a sort of diversified economy, and even some sectors that are failing, some of the more vibrant sectors would be able to cross-subsidize for them and to sustain the economy. It's so sad that, you know, we are still at a crossroad with respect to electoral reform, where every jurisdiction, where every geographical zone, where every territory in the world, some of it except with North Korea, you know, the rest, that you know, you have these democracies thriving and you have voter ID cards. And it is sad that we are still in that stage. I want to reiterate the point that I made earlier. When I started, I said I was impressed with what the UK Foreign Secretary stated in his address with respect to good governance, because we need good governance, because we really need to stamp out what they call systemic and systematic corruption. We need governments to be more accountable, responsible, and transparent, and we need a vibrant democracy whereby people can participate at least in the electoral process, where they can be exposed to free and fair election, and we need people to respect the rule of law. If we're able to respect the rule of law and we have a justice system that is impartial and can get our people to understand that, look, when people flaunt the law, that they pay for what they do, then we can have a thriving country, we can have a bright economy, and we can have a strengthened democracy. I would just wish that all of what has been said with respect to the various addresses on Commonwealth Day, I wish now that the Commonwealth should now go on what they call an exercise to inform themselves through a survey as in the various countries, particularly in Dominica, to find out what it is that we are suffering, and mainly based on the free values that were expounded upon in the address of the Foreign Secretary, mainly good governance, democracy, and the rule of law. So I believe they should go now on an expedition to seek data as to what is happening and to find out what is happening, particularly in Dominica, because we cannot be a country so behind. And every time this government gives the impression that we are okay, we cannot be okay when $4-point-something billion is missing. We cannot be okay. We cannot be okay when we do not have an agricultural industry. We cannot be okay when we have all those empty containers on the port stack up, having people believe as though it's things that come in and then they're ready to go out. They have been there for a long time, and we need to fill in those containers and ship them out. It is not okay just to establish diplomatic relations. We need to establish trade relations with the countries that we establish diplomatic relations for. It is not just okay to send children to study. It should be okay to pay their tuition fees. It is not just okay to say you have nurses, but to treat them well, to give them incentivize the sector, not just the nursing sector or the health sector, but the education sector, and to treat our public servants right. It is not okay to export our jobs and our money out of Dominica. It is not okay. We need now to serve the people of Dominica and to let the people of Dominica enjoy the proceeds of their hard work and of their commodity. We as a United Workers Party, we see things differently. We are asking Dominicans to give us the mandate to govern their affairs, and you know what to do if we fail to do so. I'm saying that it is our time now. Dominicans, it is your time. You can change everything. You can change it now. You can change it moving forward. We just say to the good Lord to continue to bless our land, to give us the strength to continue to see a vision and a good vision for our country, not like those that have a vision for themselves. We have a vision for the people to make a difference in their life and to enhance their quality of life. So we ask you to give us that mandate. And gentlemen, I want to thank you all for being in your company. Astute gentlemen, distinguished gentlemen, honorable gentlemen. Dominicans, good night for all those who participated and called, for all those who won tickets tonight. Continue to support the raffle, continue to support the work of the United Workers Party. Find yourself in the United Workers Party, get registered, become a member, and help us strengthen each other so that we can get and meet the objective of everything.
Thank you very much, Mr. Master.
I think so summed it up very well for all of us.
I just like to talk.
But in parting, I just want to wish everyone out there good evening, and it's always a pleasure serving. It's always good to be in the company of you gentlemen, and we just want to wish everyone well. Also, I want to take this point at this point in time to really say congratulations to Ali Kafanas and Kavem Hodge, who represented Dominica and Windward Islands cricket well today. We have good talent among us. It's just to tap into it and allow and provide the opportunity for them to express themselves. And to the members of our team, wherever you may be listening tonight, have a good evening, and we'll see in the soonest possible time.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen, for being here. Somebody just said So has really matured in recent years. I can see the difference in him. Yes, so people seeing, know we did the hard work that we put in to represent our country, and we're not overnight. We're not overnight politicians or purchase politicians, but we put in the hard work to ensure that our country move forward. Let me just thank you, Mr. Danny Luge, Mr. Glenn Rice Soso Coffee, and our Vice President, Mr. Clement Masler, for joining us. Vice Political
leader. This is our Vice President.
Deputy
leader.
Right? My bad.
Sorry.
Our Vice President is Mrs. Francisca Joseph. Just want to thank you for being here this evening. A very good discussion, I must say. And we have to continue to advocate on behalf of the people of Dominica to make sure that we move in the right direction as a country. And because, as we are saying, we expect to see everything come through by mid of 2024. So let's keep it positive. Let's keep the advocacy going and see you on the ground in some of the different areas. It'll be sending the notices out there to inform you that we are going out there. We'll see them all tomorrow, and we'll be continuing the sales for our tickets for the car raffle. As I always say, find a place of worship over the weekend. You have to thank God give thanks and praises for the week, and you also want to give thanks and praises for the upcoming week. So I just want you to find a place of worship. If you worship on Saturday, find a place. If you worship on Sunday, find a place. So if you don't go out to worship and worship at your home, make some time to worship and be thankful for life and thankful for the opportunities that you have been given by the Most High. Thank you for joining the United Workers Party on behalf of our political leader, Dr. Thompson Fountain, our Vice President, Deputy Political Leader, Mr. Clement Masler, our President, Mr. Lennox Linton, our Vice President, Mrs. Francisca Joseph, and the rest of the leadership of our party. We want to thank you for joining us and have yourself a wonderful, wonderful weekend. God bless you and all the very, very best.
And did not take the reptile's natural behavior into account. BBC News.
This is the Newsroom with me, Chris Barrow. Thanks for joining us. A Silicon Valley bank collapsed a few days ago, as you may be aware. Since then, the markets in America and other parts of the world have been unsettled. It was looking likely that First Republic Bank would be the next casualty. But now a group of private lenders has stepped in with a $30 billion rescue package. Speaking just a few hours before the deal was announced, the US Treasury Secretary, Janet Yellen, insisted America's banking system was secure.
The Federal Reserve is providing additional support to the banking system with a new lending facility. This will help financial institutions meet the needs of all of their